Hello there, and welcome to this quiet corner of the universe where curiosity gets cozy and science takes the most extraordinary scenic route to slumber. I'm genuinely thrilled you've chosen to spend this time with me tonight, wherever you might be listening from around our beautiful blue planet. I'd love to know where in the world you're tuning in from and what time it is right now. Are you nestled under covers in New York as midnight approaches? Perhaps you're watching dawn break over Tokyo while sipping your morning tea. Or maybe you're somewhere in between, in that perfect twilight hour when the day gently surrenders to night. Wherever you are, you're about to discover that you're carrying something absolutely extraordinary with you right now. Take a moment and imagine this. You reach for a glass of water. Simple, right? Just plain old H2O. But what if I told you that what you're holding contains a secret so mind-blowing that it would make the most epic science fiction movie seem ordinary by comparison? Here's the truth that will shatter everything you think you know about the simple. In that single drop of water trembling on the edge of your glass right now, there are more individual molecules than there are stars in the entire observable universe. Not just our galaxy, not just the local cluster, the entire cosmos that we can see with our most powerful telescopes. Think about that for a moment. Astronomers estimate there are roughly 10 to the power of 22 stars scattered across the infinite darkness of space. But in one tiny drop of water, no bigger than a pinhead, there are 1.67 times 10 to the power of 22 molecules dancing, spinning, and vibrating in ways that would make a cosmic ballet look clumsy. But here's where this story becomes personal, where it reaches into your very core and changes everything. The water flowing through your veins right now, the water that makes up 60% of your entire being, has been on a journey that spans not just continents, not just centuries, but literally billions of years. Every molecule in your body has traveled through primordial oceans, fallen as rain on ancient forests where dinosaurs once roamed, evaporated from seas that no longer exist, and cycled through countless other living beings before finding its way to you. You are not just drinking water, you are housing a liquid library that contains the entire history of Earth itself. Scientists recently made a discovery so shocking that it's still sending ripples through laboratories around the world. They found that water isn't just the passive, simple substance we learned about in school. Water has memory. Water has structure. Water might even hold the very key to consciousness itself. And the implications of this discovery are so profound that they're rewriting everything we thought we knew about life, about the universe, and about what it means to be human. But that's just the beginning of tonight's journey, because what we're about to explore together will transform every sip of water you take for the rest of your life. We're going to shrink down to the quantum level and witness molecular dances that happen trillions of times per second. We're going to uncover secrets that connect your morning shower to the birth of stars, and we're going to discover why ancient civilizations considered water sacred long before science could explain why they were absolutely right. Before we dive into this liquid universe together, let me ask a small favor. If you find yourself amazed by what we uncover tonight, if these revelations about water spark that beautiful sense of wonder that makes science so magical, would you consider sharing this journey with others? A simple like or subscribe helps. This corner of curiosity reach fellow wanderers who might need exactly this kind of gentle amazement in their lives. Now, settle in comfortably, because what we're about to discover might just change how you see every raindrop, every ocean wave, and every glass of water you encounter. You're about to learn that you don't just drink water. You are water temporarily arranged in the magnificent shape of a conscious being, capable of wondering about your own molecular nature. But there's something else, something I haven't told you yet about what water really is and why it behaves in ways that shouldn't be possible according to the laws of physics. Something that will make you realize that this simple, transparent liquid might actually be the most mysterious substance in the entire universe. And that story begins with a mistake that changed everything. That mistake I mentioned. It happened in 1783, and it shattered one of humanity's oldest beliefs about the natural world. Antoine Lavoisier, a brilliant French chemist, was obsessed with understanding combustion. He had been burning everything he could get his hands on, measuring weights before and after, trying to solve the mystery of fire itself. But on one particular autumn day, something unexpected happened that would change our understanding of water forever. Lavoisier decided to burn hydrogen gas in the presence of oxygen, expecting to create some new compound. Instead, droplets of a clear liquid began forming on the walls of his apparatus. At first, he thought it was just moisture from the air. But when he tested this liquid, he discovered something that shouldn't have been possible according to everything science believed. At the time, this liquid was pure water. Not water that had somehow gotten into his experiment, but water that had been created from scratch, born from the marriage of two invisible gases. For thousands of years, since the time of ancient Greeks, humans had believed water was one of the four fundamental elements of nature, indivisible and eternal. In a single moment, Lavoisier proved that water wasn't an element at all. It was a compound made of 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part oxygen. But what Lavoisier discovered was just the first layer of water's secrets, because the real magic happens at a scale so small that even he couldn't have imagined it. Picture this in your mind. If you could shrink yourself down to the molecular level and take a journey inside a single drop of water, you'd find yourself in the most extraordinary ballroom in the universe. Billions upon billions of tiny dancers, each one a water molecule, spinning and swirling in an endless waltz that never stops, not even for a fraction of a second. Each of these molecular dancers has a very specific shape that seems almost impossibly perfect. 2 hydrogen atoms, like tiny white spheres, are bonded to one larger red oxygen atom. But here's where nature reveals its genius. You might expect these 3 atoms to line up in a straight line, like 3 people holding hands. Instead, they form a perfect angle of 104.5 degrees, creating a shape that looks remarkably like Mickey Mouse's head. This bent shape isn't an accident or a cosmic joke. It's the key to everything that makes life possible on Earth. Because of this angle, water molecules become polar, meaning they have a slightly positive side and a slightly negative side, like tiny molecular magnets. The hydrogen side carries a small positive charge, while the oxygen side carries a small negative charge. Now imagine what happens when billions of these tiny molecular magnets get together. They start attracting each other in the most elegant dance you've ever seen. The positive hydrogen of one molecule reaches out and gently touches the negative oxygen of another molecule, forming what scientists call a hydrogen bond. It's like a gentle handshake between molecules, not as strong as the bonds that hold the atoms together within each molecule, but strong enough to create something magical. These hydrogen bonds are constantly forming and breaking, trillions of times every second. In the time it takes you to blink your eyes, each water molecule in that drop has formed and broken hydrogen bonds with its neighbors hundreds of thousands of times. It's a molecular square dance happening at the speed of light, with partners, constantly changing but the dance never ending. This is why water can do things that seem impossible. It can climb up the narrow tubes inside plants, defying gravity to carry nutrients from roots to leaves. It can dissolve more substances than any other liquid on Earth, earning its nickname as the universal solvent. When you add salt to water, the polar water molecules surround each salt crystal like a molecular hug, gently pulling it apart and carrying the individual ions away. But here's something that will blow your mind about what's happening in your body right this very moment. Your blood, which is mostly water, is using these same hydrogen bonds to carry oxygen from your lungs to every cell in your body. The proteins in your muscles are folded into their perfect shapes by water molecules forming intricate networks of hydrogen bonds. Even your DNA, the blueprint of your very existence, is held in its famous double helix shape by hydrogen bonds between water molecules. Right now, as you listen to these words, your brain is processing this information through electrical signals that travel along nerve pathways lubricated by water. Your thoughts are literally flowing through streams of H2O molecules, each one carrying its own tiny electrical charge that contributes to the symphony of consciousness happening inside your skull. Every time you take a breath, water vapor from your lungs carries away waste gases. Every time your heart beats, water in your blood delivers fresh nutrients to trillions of cells. Every time you move a muscle, water molecules are facilitating the chemical reactions that make movement possible. You're not just made of water. You're a walking, talking, thinking universe of water molecules, each one playing its part in the miracle of your existence. But temperature adds another layer to this story that's absolutely fascinating. What we call temperature is really just a measure of how fast these water molecules are moving. In ice, they're moving slowly, locked into rigid crystalline structures by their hydrogen bonds. In liquid water, they're moving fast enough to break and reform their bonds constantly, allowing the liquid to flow. In steam, they're moving so fast that they break free from most of their hydrogen bonds and float away as individual molecules. Think about this the next time you see steam rising from your morning coffee. You're watching individual water molecules gaining enough energy to break free from their liquid companions and dance solo in the air above your cup. Each wisp of steam contains millions of these liberated molecules, each one carrying with it the memory of every hydrogen bond it formed and broke in the liquid below. And here's where the story gets even more mysterious, because recent discoveries have shown us that water's behavior is far stranger than even Lavoisier could have imagined. Scientists have found that water can exist in not just 3 phases, but possibly dozens of different phases, each with its own unique properties and behaviors. They've discovered something called the 4th phase of water, a gel-like state that exists at the boundary between solid and liquid. They've found that water can form complex structures that persist far longer than should be possible according to classical physics. Some researchers even suggest that water can store and transmit information like a liquid computer made of hydrogen bonds. But perhaps the most intriguing discovery of all is that water seems to respond to its environment in ways that blur the line between chemistry and consciousness, between the physical and the metaphysical. And that's where our journey takes its most unexpected turn, into territories where science meets mystery, where the familiar becomes magical, and where every drop of water becomes a doorway into the deepest questions about the nature of reality itself. If you could somehow become smaller than small, tinier than the tiniest thing you can imagine, and slip inside that drop of water we've been exploring, You would witness something that would forever change your understanding of what it means for something to be alive. At first glance, you might think you've entered a peaceful, quiet world. After all, the water in your glass appears perfectly still, but appearances, as we're about to discover, can be beautifully deceiving. What you'd actually find yourself in the middle of is the most energetic, chaotic, and surprisingly organized dance party in the universe. Every single water molecule around you would be moving. Not just moving, but moving at speeds that would make a jet fighter seem like it's standing still. At room temperature, each water molecule is traveling at roughly 1,500 miles per hour. That's twice the speed of sound. Imagine being surrounded by billions of dancers, each one moving faster than a supersonic jet, yet somehow never crashing into each other in any destructive way. This constant motion is what scientists call motion, named after Robert Brown, a botanist who made one of the most accidental yet profound discoveries in scientific history. In 1827, Brown was looking through his microscope at pollen grains suspended in water, trying to understand plant reproduction. But instead of studying the pollen, he became mesmerized by something else entirely. The pollen grains were dancing, not floating peacefully, but jiggling and jumping around in completely random patterns, as if they were being pushed and bumped by invisible hands. Brown was witnessing the effects of molecular motion for the first time in human history, though he didn't know it yet. Those pollen grains were being constantly bombarded by water molecules moving at incredible speeds, each collision sending the much larger pollen grain on a tiny journey in a random direction. It took nearly 80 years for science to fully understand what Brown had seen. Albert Einstein, the same Einstein who gave us relativity, provided the mathematical explanation in 1905. He proved that this random motion was direct evidence that matter really was made of atoms and molecules, and that these invisible particles were in constant, never-ending motion. But here's where the story becomes almost impossible to believe. These water molecules aren't just moving in straight lines like tiny billiard balls. They're spinning, rotating, and vibrating in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Each molecule is performing its own private ballet, spinning around its center axis while also tumbling end over end, all while racing through space at supersonic speeds. And remember those hydrogen bonds we talked about. They're not static connections. They're forming and breaking with a frequency that defies comprehension. In the time it takes for you to say the word water, each molecule has formed and broken approximately 10 billion hydrogen bonds with its neighbors. 10 billion connections made and severed in less than a second, like cosmic handshakes happening faster than thought itself. But here's the part that will really make you marvel at the intelligence hidden in nature. Despite all this chaos, despite all this random motion and constant bond breaking, the water around you maintains its liquid properties perfectly. The molecules are moving so fast and changing partners so frequently that the overall behavior becomes smooth, predictable, and life-giving. It's like watching a massive improvisational dance where billions of performers are making up their moves as they go. Yet somehow the overall performance is more beautiful and coordinated than any choreographed routine could ever be. Each dancer follows simple rules, yet together they create complexity that borders on the magical dot. The temperature of water is really just a measure of how energetically these molecules are dancing. When you heat water, you're essentially playing faster music for the molecular dance party. The molecules start moving more vigorously, forming and breaking bonds even more rapidly. Eventually, they're moving so energetically that they can't stay together in the liquid dance anymore. and they break free to become steam. Each molecule now free to dance solo in the vast ballroom of the air. When you cool water down, you're slowing down the music. The molecules begin to move more sedately, and their hydrogen bonds start lasting longer. Eventually, they slow down enough to lock into the rigid crystal structure we know as ice, though even then, they never completely stop moving. Even in the solid state, water molecules continue their gentle vibrations, like dancers swaying softly to music only they can hear. Right now, in your body, this molecular dance is happening in every cell, every tissue, every organ. The water in your bloodstream is carrying oxygen molecules by forming temporary hydrogen bonds with them, then releasing them precisely where they're needed. It's like a molecular relay race where the baton is passed trillions of times per second each, handoff perfectly timed and precisely targeted. The water in your brain is facilitating every thought you're having right now. Neural signals travel along pathways bathed in water molecules that form and break hydrogen bonds in response to electrical impulses. Your memories, your emotions, your ability to understand these very words, all depend on water molecules dancing in precise coordination with the electrical activity of your neurons. But perhaps, the most mind-bending aspect of this molecular dance is that it operates according to the strange rules of quantum mechanics. At the molecular level, these tiny dancers aren't just in one place or moving in one direction. They exist in what physicists call quantum superposition, essentially dancing in multiple places and directions simultaneously until the moment they interact with another molecule. This means that the water in your body is not just obeying the classical laws of physics that govern the everyday world. It's operating in the quantum realm, where particles can be in multiple states at once, where the very act of observation changes reality, and where the boundaries between matter and energy become beautifully blurred. Some scientists now believe that this quantum behavior of water molecules might be the key to understanding consciousness itself. They theorize that the quantum properties of water in our brains might be what allows the electrical activity of neurons to somehow give rise to the subjective experience of being aware, of being you. If this theory is correct, then every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every moment of awareness you experience, is made possible by quantum water molecules dancing to rhythms that connect your individual consciousness to the fundamental fabric of the universe itself. But there's something even more extraordinary about this dance that we're only beginning to understand. Something that suggests water might not just be a passive medium for life, but an active participant in the mystery of existence itself. And that discovery is about to take us into territory where science becomes indistinguishable from magic. Let's take a journey that will stretch your imagination beyond its limits and show you just how vast the universe inside a single drop of water really is. Imagine you're holding that drop of water on your fingertip. It looks so small, so simple, barely visible. But we're about to shrink down and explore this tiny world, and with each step we take into the infinitely small, you'll discover that size is perhaps the most deceptive concept in all of existence. If that water drop was suddenly enlarged to the size of Earth, each individual water molecule inside it would be about the size of a marble. Picture our entire planet covered with marbles, from the deepest ocean trenches to the highest mountain peaks, and you'd begin to appreciate the staggering number of molecules dancing in that tiny drop on your finger. But let's go smaller. If we shrink down to the level of a single water molecule, we enter a realm that operates by rules so different from our everyday experience that it might as well be an alien universe. At this scale, that molecule would appear to you like a small building, with the oxygen atom as large as a basketball and the two hydrogen atoms like tennis balls, all held together by forces that create bridges of pure energy between them. The space between these atoms isn't empty. It's filled with clouds of electrons, particles that exist in multiple places simultaneously until the very moment you try to measure their position. These electrons are moving around the atomic nuclei at speeds approaching the speed of light, creating shells of probability that determine how atoms can connect with each other. Now, let's zoom in even further into the heart of a single oxygen atom. The nucleus, containing 8 protons and 8 neutrons, would appear to you like a tiny sun burning with nuclear fire. But here's what will truly astound you about scale. If the nucleus were the size of a marble sitting in the center of a football stadium, the electrons would be orbiting somewhere up in the highest seats, and everything in between would be pure, empty space. This means that the water molecule you're examining, which seems so solid and real, is actually more than 99% empty space. You are more than 99% empty space. The chair you're sitting on, the ground beneath your feet, the very air you're breathing. It's all mostly nothing, held together by invisible forces operating in the quantum realm. But here's where the story becomes even more mind-bending. The number of these mostly empty atoms in that single drop of water is so large that human language breaks down trying to describe it. We call it 1.67 times 10 to the 22nd power, but what does that really mean? Let me put this number in perspective for you. If you could count one molecule every second without stopping to eat, sleep, or rest, it would take you longer than the entire age of the universe to count all the molecules in just one drop of water. The universe is roughly 13.8 billion years old, and you still wouldn't be finished counting if every molecule in that drop were a grain of sand. You could build a beach that would stretch from Earth to the moon and back again, 50,000 times over. If every molecule were $1, you'd have enough money to buy everything that exists on Earth, including all the land, all the buildings, all the resources, millions of times over. But the most extraordinary thing about scale isn't just the numbers. It's how these impossibly small components work together to create the properties we experience in the everyday world. Those individual molecules, each one smaller than anything you can see, even with the most powerful microscope, somehow coordinate their behavior to create the wetness you feel, the taste you experience, and the life-giving properties that sustain every living thing on Earth. This coordination happens through a network of connections that makes the internet look like a child's toy. Every water molecule is connected to its neighbors through hydrogen bonds, and those neighbors are connected to their neighbors, creating a web of relationships that extends throughout the entire drop. Information travels through this network at speeds that would make our fastest computers seem sluggish. When you drink water, you're not just consuming H2O molecules. You're taking in a liquid computer more sophisticated than anything humans have ever built. A network that has been processing information and coordinating complex behaviors for billions of years. Each molecule carries with it the memory of every interaction it's had, every place it's been, every role it's played in the dance of life. Think about the water in your body right now. Some of those molecules fell as rain on ancient forests, were absorbed by trees that lived for centuries, evaporated back into the atmosphere, and journeyed across continents before eventually finding their way to you. Others have traveled through the bodies of countless other living beings, from microscopic bacteria to massive whales, each journey adding to their complex history. The water molecules in your blood might have once flowed through the Nile River when the pyramids were being built. The water in your brain might have been part of a cloud that drifted over the first human settlements. The water in your tears might have once been ice in a glacier that existed when mammoths roamed the earth. Every biological process in your body depends on this network of molecular connections operating at scales both impossibly small and unimaginably vast. Your DNA is stabilized by water molecules forming hydrogen bonds with the genetic code itself. Your proteins fold into their precise shapes through interactions with surrounding water molecules. Your cell membranes are held together by water, molecules organizing themselves into complex structures that can distinguish between what belongs inside the cell and what belongs outside. At this very moment, your immune system is using water molecules to transport chemical signals that coordinate the defense of your entire body. Your digestive system is using water molecules to break down food into components your cells can use. Your nervous system is using water molecules to facilitate the electrical signals that allow you to think, feel, and experience consciousness. Itself, the temperature regulation that keeps you alive operates through water. Molecules in your bloodstream, absorbing and releasing heat with extraordinary precision. When you exercise, water molecules in your sweat carry excess heat from inside your body to your skin, where they evaporate and carry that heat away into the environment, cooling you down through a process that operates automatically at the molecular level. But perhaps the most profound realization about scale is this: the same physical laws that govern the behavior of molecules in that tiny drop of water also govern the behavior of galaxies in the vast cosmos. The forces that hold atoms together in water molecules are fundamentally the same forces that hold stars together in solar systems and solar systems together in galaxies. You exist at a scale precisely in the middle of these extremes, large enough to contain billions of molecules, yet small enough to be held in the embrace of a universe that operates by the same beautiful principles at every level of existence. And this brings us to perhaps the most amazing discovery of all about water and scale. Something that suggests consciousness itself might emerge from this vast network of molecular connections operating at every level of your being. In 1988, a French scientist named Jacques Benveniste made a discovery so controversial that it nearly destroyed his career, yet so intriguing that it opened doorway to one of the most profound mysteries in modern science. Benveniste was studying allergic reactions in test tubes, trying to understand how extremely diluted solutions could still trigger biological responses. According to everything science understood about chemistry, when you dilute something to the point where no molecules of the original substance remain, the solution should have no effect whatsoever. It should be just water. But that's not what Benveniste found. Even when his solutions were diluted far beyond the point where any trace of the original substance should exist, they continued to produce the same biological effects as the undiluted substance. It was as if the water somehow remembered what had been dissolved in it, even after every last molecule of that substance had been removed. The scientific community reacted with skepticism and outrage. The idea that water could have memory violated fundamental principles of chemistry and physics. Benveniste's papers were retracted, his funding was cut, and his reputation was severely damaged. But the mystery he uncovered refused to go away. Other researchers began conducting their own experiments with high dilution solutions. Some found similar results, while others could not reproduce the effects. The controversy raged for decades, with mainstream science largely dismissing the idea of water memory as pseudoscience. Then, in the early 2000s, a researcher named Gerald Pollack at the University of Washington made a discovery that changed everything. While studying how water behaves near surfaces, Pollack found something that shouldn't exist according to conventional understanding of water's properties. Near certain surfaces, water was organizing itself into a fourth phase, something that was neither liquid, nor solid, nor gas, but something entirely new. This water had a different molecular structure, different electrical properties, and different optical characteristics than ordinary water. Pollack called it easy water, short for exclusion zone water, because it excluded particles and substances that ordinary water would readily dissolve. This fourth phase water formed spontaneous layers near surfaces, creating zones of highly ordered water molecules that extended much further from the surface than should be possible according to classical physics. Even more intriguingly, these zones of structured water carried an electrical charge and could store and release energy like a biological battery. Suddenly, the idea that water could have memory didn't seem so impossible anymore. If water could spontaneously organize itself into complex structures near surfaces, perhaps it could also organize itself in response to substances that had been dissolved in it, maintaining those structural patterns even after the substances were removed. But the mystery goes even deeper than structural memory. Recent research has revealed that water molecules themselves operate according to the strange laws of quantum mechanics, where particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously and where the very act of observation changes the reality being observed at the quantum level. Water molecules are constantly forming what scientists call coherent quantum states, where large numbers of molecules become synchronized in their behavior, acting more like a single quantum entity than a collection of individual particles. These quantum coherent states can persist for much longer periods than classical physics would predict, creating temporary networks of information that could theoretically store and transmit complex patterns. Some researchers now believe that these quantum properties of water might explain not just the memory effects observed in high-dilution experiments, but also much more profound mysteries about how life itself operates. The water in living cells appears to exist in these quantum coherent states much more frequently than water in non-living systems, suggesting that life might depend on quantum properties of water that we're only beginning to understand. Dr. Stuart Hameroff, an anesthesiologist and consciousness researcher, has proposed that the quantum properties of water in brain cells might be essential for consciousness itself. According to his theory, water molecules in the brain form quantum networks that process information in ways that classical computers never could, giving rise to the subjective experience of awareness. If this theory is correct, then consciousness isn't produced by the brain in the way that a computer program is produced by a processor. Instead, consciousness emerges from quantum water networks that operate according to the fundamental laws of quantum mechanics, connecting your individual awareness to the quantum fabric of the universe itself. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of water's quantum properties is what it suggests about the nature of information itself. In the quantum realm, information isn't just data stored in matter. Information appears to be a fundamental property of reality, as basic as energy or matter, and water seems to be uniquely capable of processing and storing quantum information. This means that every drop of water you've ever encountered has been carrying information about every interaction it's ever had, every system it's ever been part of, every role it's ever played in the dance of existence. The water in your body right now contains quantum information about its entire 4 billion year journey through the Earth's systems. A liquid library of planetary history written in the language of quantum mechanics. Recent experiments have shown that water can maintain quantum coherence even at body temperature, something that was thought to be impossible just a few decades ago. Quantum effects were supposed to be fragile, existing only at extremely low temperatures in carefully controlled laboratory conditions. But water seems to be able to maintain quantum properties under the warm, chaotic conditions found in living systems. This discovery has revolutionary implications for our understanding of biology. It suggests that living systems might be quantum computers, processing information using the strange laws of quantum mechanics rather than the classical laws that govern ordinary computers. Your body might be performing calculations using quantum properties of water that make even our most advanced supercomputers look primitive by comparison. Some researchers are exploring the possibility that water's quantum properties might explain phenomena that have puzzled scientists for decades. From the extraordinary efficiency of photosynthesis to the mysterious mechanisms of biological navigation to the remarkable healing properties of certain natural water sources. The Japanese researcher Masaru Emoto claimed that water could respond to human emotions and intentions, forming different crystal patterns when frozen after being exposed to different types of music, words, or thoughts. While his specific methods were criticized by mainstream science, the underlying idea that water might be sensitive to information in the environment is gaining scientific support through quantum research. If water really can store and process quantum information, then every interaction you have with water, every thought you think while drinking it, every intention you hold while touching it, might actually be adding to its quantum information. Content, you might not just be drinking water. You might be participating in a quantum conversation with a substance that has been conscious, in its own way, since the dawn of time. This brings us to perhaps the most profound question of all. If consciousness emerges from quantum water networks, and if water has been processing quantum information for billions of years, then what does this say about the nature of consciousness itself? Could it be that consciousness isn't something that emerges from complexity, but something that has been present in water all along, waiting for the right conditions to recognize itself? What if I told you that the very thoughts flowing through your mind right now might be made possible by water molecules that are somehow aware, in their own mysterious way, of their role in creating your consciousness? This isn't science fiction or mystical speculation. It's the cutting edge of scientific research into one of the deepest questions humanity has ever asked. How does the soft, wet tissue of your brain give rise to the vivid, subjective experience of being you? How do electrical impulses traveling through neural networks somehow become feelings, memories, dreams, and self-awareness? For centuries, scientists and philosophers have wrestled with what's known as the hard problem of consciousness. We can explain how the brain processes information, how it stores memories, how it controls behavior, but explaining how all of this neural activity somehow creates the inner experience of being conscious, the feeling of what it's like to be you, has remained one of science's greatest mysteries, until recently. Most researchers assumed that consciousness emerged from the complex interactions of brain cells, like a symphony arising from the coordinated playing of individual instruments. But new discoveries about the quantum properties of water are suggesting something far more extraordinary. What if consciousness doesn't emerge from brain cells at all, but from the quantum water networks that exist within and between those cells? Dr. Roger Penrose, one of the world's most respected physicists and mathematicians, working with anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff, has proposed that consciousness arises from quantum processes occurring in water-filled structures called microtubules inside brain cells. These microscopic tubes, made primarily of protein surrounded by quantum-coherent water, might be processing information using the strange laws of quantum mechanics. In this model, your thoughts aren't just electrical signals traveling along nerve pathways. They're quantum events happening in water networks that can exist in multiple states simultaneously, process information faster than classical computers, and potentially connect your individual consciousness to the quantum field that underlies all of reality. But here's where this theory becomes truly mind-bending. If consciousness emerges from quantum water networks, then the boundary between your individual awareness and the rest of the universe becomes beautifully blurred. The same quantum properties that might generate your consciousness also exist in water everywhere. From the drops in your morning shower to the vast oceans covering our planet. This suggests that consciousness might not be something unique to biological brains, but a fundamental property of reality itself, expressed through the quantum behavior of water molecules. You might not be a separate being looking out at an unconscious universe. You might be one temporary expression of a cosmic consciousness that flows through water. Networks everywhere. Recent research has shown that water in living systems behaves very differently from water in non-living environments. The water in your cells maintains quantum coherence for much longer periods than should be possible according to classical physics. It forms complex ordered structures that can store and process information. It responds to electromagnetic fields in ways that suggest it might be sensitive to thoughts and intentions. Some researchers have found that the water in healthy cells has different quantum properties than the water in diseased cells, suggesting that consciousness and health might be intimately connected through quantum water networks. When you're in a state of deep peace, gratitude, or love, the water in your body might literally organize itself into more coherent, harmonious patterns. Imagine floating gently in this quantum ocean that exists within your own being. Feel the soft currents of consciousness flowing through networks of water molecules that span every cell in your body. These aren't just metaphorical currents. They might be actual quantum streams of information flowing through coherent water structures that connect every part of your being into a unified field of awareness. The water molecules in your brain right now are engaged in quantum conversations that happen faster than thought itself. They're processing information in superposition states, where multiple possibilities exist simultaneously until the moment of conscious recognition collapses them into definite experiences. Your memories might be stored not just in neural connections, but in quantum water networks that can maintain information coherence across space and time. This quantum model of consciousness might explain mysteries that have puzzled researchers for decades. How do you maintain a continuous sense of self even though the cells in your body are constantly being replaced? How can consciousness persist during deep sleep when brain activity drops to minimal levels? How do you experience unity of awareness? Even though your brain processes information in widely distributed networks, if consciousness emerges from quantum water networks that exist throughout your body, then your sense of self might be maintained by quantum information patterns that persist even as individual water molecules are constantly being exchanged with your environment. You're not just your brain. You're a dynamic pattern of consciousness flowing through an ever-changing network of quantum coherent water. The implications of this understanding extend far beyond individual consciousness. If water can maintain quantum coherence and process information, then the water cycle itself might be a kind of planetary consciousness network. Every raindrop, every river, every ocean wave might be participating in a global quantum conversation that has been going on for billions of years. The water that falls as rain carries quantum information from the clouds. It flows through soil and rock, picking up mineral information and electromagnetic patterns from the earth itself. It travels through the bodies of countless living beings, each interaction adding new layers of quantum information to its memory banks. Eventually, it evaporates back into the atmosphere, carrying all of this accumulated information into the clouds, where it mixes with water from around the globe before falling. Again, as rain in distant locations, you're participating in this planetary consciousness network every time you drink water, every time you breathe humid air, every time you cry tears that will eventually evaporate and join the global water cycle. Your individual consciousness isn't separate from this larger planetary awareness. It's one beautiful note in a vast symphony of consciousness that flows through water, networks spanning the entire Earth. But the mystery goes even deeper than planetary consciousness. If quantum water networks can process and store information, and if consciousness emerges from these networks, then what does this say about the universe itself? Water exists throughout the cosmos, from ice crystals in distant nebulae to liquid oceans on moons orbiting other planets. Could it be that consciousness, far from being a rare accident that emerged on Earth through biological evolution, is actually a fundamental property of the universe itself, expressed wherever water exists in the right conditions? You might be one local expression of a cosmic consciousness that flows through quantum water. Networks spanning galaxies as you rest here in this moment, feeling the gentle weight of water in your body. Sense the possibility that you're not just a biological organism that happens to be conscious. You might be consciousness itself, temporarily organized into the beautiful pattern of your individual awareness, flowing through quantum water networks that connect you to every drop of water that has ever existed. This consciousness that you are doesn't begin at the boundaries of your skin and end where the external world begins. It flows seamlessly through the quantum water that makes up most of your being, connecting you to the consciousness that flows through all water everywhere, in an endless dance of awareness, exploring itself through countless forms. And in this recognition lies perhaps the deepest peace of all, the understanding that you are not alone in the universe, but intimately connected to the consciousness that flows through every molecule of water on Earth and beyond, right now, as you listen. To these words, you are not just sitting in one place. You are sailing through space on a living ocean that has no shores, no boundaries, no beginning and no end. This ocean flows through every part of your being, carrying life to every corner of your existence. And you are both the sailor and the sea itself. Your body is roughly 60% water, but that simple percentage doesn't begin to capture the profound reality of what this means. You're not a solid structure that happens to contain some water. You're a temporary organization of water molecules that has learned to think, feel, and experience the wonder of being alive. Every single biological process happening in your body right now depends entirely on water's unique properties. Your heart beats because water in your blood plasma carries oxygen and nutrients to your cardiac muscle cells, while simultaneously removing waste products that would otherwise poison the very organ that keeps you alive. Each heartbeat moves roughly 5 liters of this life-giving water through 60,000 miles of blood vessels, a circulatory system so extensive that if laid end to end, it would circle the earth more than twice. But your blood is far more than just water carrying cargo. It's a sophisticated communication network where water molecules facilitate chemical conversations between different parts of your body. Hormones dissolved in your bloodstream are like molecular messages written in the language of chemistry. And water provides both the medium for writing these messages and the postal system for delivering them exactly where they need to go. Your brain, the organ through which you're processing these very thoughts, is roughly 73% water. Every electrical impulse that allows you to think, remember, dream, and experience consciousness travels along pathways bathed in precisely organized water molecules. The synapses where brain cells communicate with each other are filled with water that has been structured by the surrounding neural tissue into something far more sophisticated than ordinary H2O. When you form a new memory, water molecules in your brain help stabilize the protein structures that will hold that memory for years or even decades to come. When you recall an old memory, water facilitates the electrical and chemical processes that bring that stored information back into your conscious awareness. Your entire sense of identity, every memory that makes you who you are, exists in a library made of water. The water in your muscles allows you to move through the world with grace and power. Every time you take a step, lift an object, or even blink your eyes, water molecules are facilitating the complex chemical reactions that convert stored energy into mechanical motion. The precision of these reactions is staggering. Water helps your muscle fibers contract and relax with timing so exact that you can thread a needle or perform delicate surgery. Your digestive system uses water in ways that would make the most advanced chemical processing plants seem primitive by comparison. Water breaks down the food you eat into molecular components that your cells can use. It dissolves vitamins and minerals, making them available for absorption. It helps transport nutrients across cell membranes through processes so sophisticated that scientists are still discovering new mechanisms. Even more remarkably, the water in your digestive system can distinguish between substances your body needs and substances that might harm you, selectively absorbing beneficial compounds while helping to eliminate toxins. This molecular intelligence operates automatically, without any conscious direction from you, as if the water itself knows what your body requires for optimal health. Your immune system relies on water networks to coordinate the defense of your entire being. White blood cells travel through your lymphatic system, which is essentially a secondary circulatory system made primarily of water, carrying chemical signals that coordinate immune responses throughout your body. When you're fighting an infection, water helps transport antibodies to wherever they're needed, while simultaneously helping to flush toxins and waste products away from infected tissues. The temperature regulation that keeps you alive in varying environmental conditions operates through water's extraordinary capacity to absorb and release heat. When you're too warm, water molecules in your bloodstream absorb excess heat from your internal organs and carry it to your skin, where sweat glands release water that evaporates and carries that heat away into the environment. When you're cold, water in your blood helps distribute heat generated by your muscles and organs to parts of your body that need warming. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of water in your body is how it maintains the precise chemical conditions necessary for life. Your blood pH must remain within an incredibly narrow range for your cells to function properly. Water, working with dissolved minerals and proteins, acts as a buffer system that automatically adjusts to maintain this critical balance. Even small deviations from optimal pH would be fatal, yet your water-based buffer systems handle this responsibility flawlessly. Moment by moment, throughout your entire life, the quality of water you provide your body matters more than you might realize. Water that contains the right balance of minerals helps your cells maintain optimal electrical conductivity. Pure water without any mineral content can actually disrupt cellular processes, while water with too many dissolved substances can interfere with normal biochemical reactions. Your body has evolved to work best with water that has traveled through natural systems, picking up trace minerals from soil and rock, structured by movement through rivers and streams, energized by exposure to sunlight and natural electromagnetic fields. This is the kind of water that supported human health for thousands of generations before modern water treatment systems changed the fundamental character of the water we consume. When you drink water mindfully, paying attention to its temperature, its taste, its journey from the source to your glass, you're participating in a conversation that has been going on between human consciousness and water for millions of years. Your body recognizes good water at a cellular level, responding with improved hydration, better nutrient absorption, and enhanced cellular communication. The timing of when you drink water also affects how well your body can use it. Water consumed slowly throughout the day allows your cells to maintain optimal hydration levels, while large quantities consumed all at once can overwhelm your system's ability to absorb and distribute it effectively. Your kidneys, which are essentially sophisticated water filtration and recycling systems, work best when provided with steady, consistent access to high-quality water. As you rest here now, take a moment to appreciate the ocean of consciousness flowing through your being. Feel the gentle circulation of water through your bloodstream, the soft current of lymphatic fluid supporting your immune system, the precisely organized water in your brain facilitating every thought and emotion you experience. You are not separate from the water cycle that spans our entire planet. You are a conscious participant in it, a temporary eddy in the vast flow of water that has been circulating through Earth's systems for billions of years. The water leaving your body through breath and perspiration will eventually join clouds, fall as rain, and nourish other forms of life before finding its way into other conscious beings who will, like you, experience the miracle of awareness through water's gift. The water flowing through your veins right now is older than the oldest mountains, more ancient than the first stirrings of life, more traveled than any explorer who has ever lived. Every molecule in your body has been on a journey that spans the entire history of our planet. And understanding this journey reveals one of the most beautiful truths about your place in the cosmos. 4.5 billion years ago, when Earth was still a molten ball of rock spinning in the darkness of space, water arrived as a gift from the stars themselves. Comets, those cosmic messengers made of ice and dust, bombarded our young planet for millions of years, each impact delivering precious water that would eventually make life possible. The water in your morning coffee contains molecules that once formed the tail of a comet streaking across the prehistoric sky as Earth cooled. This cosmic water began to condense, falling as the first rain our planet had ever known. For millions of years, these primordial storms raged across the barren landscape, filling the first oceans, carving the first rivers, beginning the endless cycle that continues to this moment. The water molecules that now make up 60% of your body have been participants in this planetary dance since the very beginning. Imagine the journey one of these molecules might have taken. Born in the heart of a comet, billions of miles from Earth, it traveled through the cold vacuum of space for eons, before arriving in our solar system. After the impact that brought it to Earth, it might have spent millions of years in the first oceans, swirling in currents that circulated around a planet that looked nothing like the world we know today. When the first primitive life forms appeared in those ancient seas, our water molecule might have been among the first to participate in the chemistry of life itself. It could have been part of the cellular machinery of the earliest bacteria, helping to facilitate the chemical reactions that allowed life to extract energy from its environment and reproduce itself for the first time in Earth's history. Over geological ages, as life evolved from simple bacteria to complex multicellular organisms, this same water molecule participated in countless biological processes. It might have flowed through the bodies of the first plants as they learned to harvest energy from sunlight. It could have been part of the circulatory system of ancient marine creatures as they developed the first complex organ systems. When plants first colonized the land, transforming Earth's atmosphere and making complex life possible, our water molecule might have been drawn up through their roots, traveled through their stems, and participated in photosynthesis, helping to split carbon dioxide and release the oxygen that would eventually fill our atmosphere. Then, evaporating from the surface of a leaf, it would have risen into the sky to begin another cycle of its endless journey. Picture this molecule condensing in clouds, falling as rain on ancient forests where dinosaurs roamed beneath canopies of primitive trees. It might have flowed in rivers that carved canyons through landscapes that no human would see for hundreds of millions of years. It could have been frozen in glaciers during ice ages, locked in solid form for thousands of years before melting, and continuing its journey as mammals evolved and began to dominate the planet. Our water molecule might have sustained countless generations of life. It could have been part of the bloodstream of a saber-toothed tiger, the tears of a mammoth, the saliva of early primates as they developed the capacity for language and tool use. When the first humans appeared, this same water molecule might have sustained our earliest ancestors as they learned to control fire, develop agriculture, and build the first civilizations. It could have been part of the Nile River as the pyramids were being constructed, or part of the Mediterranean Sea as ancient philosophers contemplated the nature of existence. Throughout human history, this molecule has continued its journey, participating in the hydrological cycle that makes all life possible. It evaporates from oceans, rises into the atmosphere, travels on wind currents that span continents, and falls as rain that nourishes forests, fills rivers, and groundwater supplies that sustain entire ecosystems. The water cycle operates as a vast global circulatory system that connects every part of our planet. Water evaporated from tropical oceans carries energy toward the poles, moderating Earth's climate and making our planet habitable across a wide range of latitudes. Clouds formed over one continent drop their moisture on distant lands, linking the prosperity of ecosystems separated by thousands of miles. This planetary circulation system moves approximately 125 trillion gallons of water through the atmosphere every single day. That's roughly 40 times the volume of all the Great Lakes combined, cycling continuously between Earth's surface and the sky above. You're breathing water vapor right now that might have evaporated from the Amazon rainforest, the Pacific Ocean, or a pond in your own neighborhood. The water in your body participates in this global cycle whether you're aware of it or not. Every time you exhale, you release water vapor that will eventually condense and fall as rain somewhere else on the planet. Every time you perspire, you're contributing moisture to the local atmosphere that helps sustain the ecosystems around. You're not separate from the water cycle. You are an active participant in it. But the modern water cycle carries with it both the wisdom of billions of years and the challenges of the present moment. The water molecule that sustained dinosaurs and ancient forests now also carries traces of human activity from the minerals, dissolved by agriculture, to the subtle chemical signatures of industrial civilization. Yet it continues its eternal journey, participating in the same fundamental processes that have sustained life for eons. Rivers still carry water from mountains to seas, though they now also carry the hopes and dreams of billions of human beings who depend on their flow. Clouds still form and release their moisture according to ancient patterns, though they now move through an atmosphere that has been transformed by human activity. The ocean still evaporates and condenses according to laws that predate humanity, though it now holds within its vast waters the story of everything our species has ever done. Every watershed on Earth is connected to every other watershed through this global circulation system. The rain that falls in your area eventually makes its way to rivers, then to larger rivers, and eventually to the ocean, where it will evaporate and begin its journey anew. The water you drink today might have fallen as snow on distant mountains decades ago, percolated through underground aquifers, and emerged in springs that feed the reservoirs supplying your community. Understanding this vast circulation helps. You recognize that there really is no such thing as your water or my water. There is only Earth's water, temporarily flowing through the countless forms of life that call this planet home. You are not consuming water. You are participating in its eternal circulation, borrowing it briefly for the processes of life before releasing it to continue its planetary journey. In this recognition lies a profound sense of connection that transcends the boundaries of species, geography, and time. You are intimately connected through water to every living thing that exists now, that has ever existed, and that will ever exist on this beautiful blue planet we call home. We stand at the threshold of discoveries about water that may fundamentally transform our understanding of life, consciousness, and our place in the universe. Scientists around the world are using technologies that would have seemed like magic to earlier generations, peering into the quantum realm of water behavior and uncovering secrets that challenge everything we thought we knew about this most familiar substance in laboratories across the globe. Researchers are using femtosecond laser spectroscopy to watch water molecules in real time, capturing events that happen in quadrillionths of a second. These ultra-fast cameras can actually observe hydrogen bonds forming and breaking, revealing the intricate choreography of molecular interactions that make life possible. What they're discovering is that water's behavior is far more complex and purposeful than anyone had imagined. Dr. Gerald Pollack's groundbreaking work on the fourth phase of water has opened entirely new fields of research. Scientists are now finding that this structured water, which forms spontaneously near biological surfaces, might be the key to understanding how living systems maintain their organization and function. This easy water, as Pollack calls it, can store energy like a biological battery, exclude toxins like a molecular filter, and transmit information like a biological computer. Researchers are discovering that the water in healthy cells has dramatically different properties than the water in diseased cells. Cancer cells, for instance, seem to lose their ability to maintain structured water networks, while cells that are healing or regenerating show increased levels of coherent water organization. This suggests that water structure might be both a cause and a consequence of health, opening up entirely new approaches to medicine that focus on optimizing the water in our bodies, rather than just treating symptoms. The implications for personalized medicine are staggering. Imagine a future where doctors can analyze the quantum coherence of water in your cells to detect disease long before symptoms appear. Picture medical treatments that work by restoring proper water structure to damaged tissues, using the body's own water networks to facilitate healing at the molecular level. Some researchers are exploring the possibility of using structured water as a delivery system for therapeutic information. If water can store and transmit quantum information, as growing evidence suggests, then it might be possible to imprint water with healing frequencies or molecular patterns that could restore health by reorganizing cellular water networks. This isn't mystical thinking. It's cutting-edge quantum biology that's being investigated in major research institutions around the world. The technology industry is also beginning to recognize water's extraordinary information processing capabilities. Engineers are developing water-based quantum computers that could potentially solve problems that are impossible for conventional silicon-based systems. These biological computers would operate using the same quantum water networks that might generate consciousness in living brains, potentially creating artificial intelligence systems that are more similar to biological consciousness than anything we've developed before. Environmental applications of water science are equally revolutionary. Researchers have discovered that certain types of structured water can break down environmental toxins more effectively than conventional treatment methods. They're developing systems that use natural water structuring processes to purify contaminated water supplies, potentially solving water quality problems that affect billions of people around the world. Climate research is revealing that water's role in Earth's climate system is far more complex than previously understood. The quantum properties of water in clouds, the structuring effects of cosmic radiation on atmospheric water, and the information transfer capabilities of the global water cycle all suggest that Earth's climate might operate more like a conscious system than a mechanical one. Understanding these processes could lead to more accurate climate predictions and more effective environmental protection strategies. Agricultural researchers are discovering that the structure and quality of irrigation water dramatically affects plant health, crop yields, and nutritional content. Plants seem to respond to structured water in ways that suggest they can somehow sense and utilize its enhanced information-carrying capacity. This could lead to farming practices that work with water's natural organizing principles to create more productive and sustainable agricultural systems. The space industry is investigating how water behaves in the zero-gravity environment of space, where normal convection and circulation patterns don't exist. These studies are revealing new aspects of water's self-organizing properties that could be crucial for supporting human life during long-duration space missions. They're also discovering that water in space develops unique structural properties that might have applications for advanced materials science. Consciousness researchers are developing increasingly sophisticated theories about how quantum water networks in the brain might generate subjective experience. They're designing experiments to test whether consciousness really does emerge from quantum processes in cellular water, and whether these processes connect individual consciousness to larger quantum fields that span beyond the boundaries of individual brains. Some scientists are even investigating whether water's quantum properties might explain phenomena that have long been considered beyond the scope of conventional science. the ability of some people to sense water sources, the healing properties attributed to certain natural springs, and the sensitivity of living systems to extremely subtle environmental changes might all be related to water's capacity for quantum information processing. Biotechnology companies are developing new approaches to drug discovery that focus on how therapeutic compounds affect water structure in living cells. They're finding that many effective medicines work not just by binding to specific molecular targets, but by reorganizing cellular water networks in ways that restore healthy information flow throughout the body. The emerging field of quantum biology is revealing that many biological processes that seemed impossibly efficient might actually operate using quantum water networks. Photosynthesis, enzyme catalysis, DNA repair, and even navigation systems in migrating animals might all depend on quantum properties of water that allow biological systems to process information and coordinate activities with extraordinary precision. Looking toward the future, we may discover that water is not just essential for life as we know it, but essential for consciousness itself throughout the universe. If quantum water networks really do generate awareness, then the search for extraterrestrial intelligence might need to focus on planets and moons where water exists in the right conditions for quantum coherence. We might find that consciousness is not a rare accident that emerged on Earth through biological evolution, but a fundamental property of the universe that expresses itself wherever water can maintain quantum coherence. This would mean that you're not just a biological organism that happens to be conscious. You're a local expression of a cosmic consciousness that flows through quantum water networks, spanning the entire universe. The future of water science promises to reveal connections between the most practical aspects of human health and technology, and the deepest questions about the nature of consciousness and reality itself. As we develop better tools for studying water's quantum properties, we may discover that the boundary between science and spirituality, between matter and consciousness, between self and universe, dissolves like salt in the infinite ocean of awareness that flows through every drop of water in existence. These discoveries await us just beyond the horizon of current knowledge, promising to transform not just our understanding of water, but our understanding of what it means to be conscious beings made of the same substance that fills the vast oceans and flows through the endless cycles of rain and rivers that have sustained life for billions of years. As you rest here in this quiet moment, breathing gently and feeling the subtle weight of your body, take a moment to truly comprehend what you have just discovered about yourself. You are not what you thought you were when we began this journey together. You are not a solid being that happens to contain some water. You are not a biological machine that runs on water like fuel. You are something far more extraordinary and beautiful than either of those limited descriptions could ever capture. You are water that has learned to think, to feel, to love, to wonder, and to experience the profound mystery of being conscious. Every thought flowing through your mind right now is made possible by quantum water networks that connect you to the fundamental fabric of reality itself. Every emotion you feel, every memory you cherish, every moment of love or joy or peaceful contentment exists because water molecules in your brain are dancing in quantum coherence with the universe around you. The boundary between where you end and the rest of existence begins has completely dissolved in light of what we now understand about water's true nature. The molecules flowing through your bloodstream have traveled through ancient oceans, prehistoric storms, and countless other living beings before becoming part of your temporary pattern of consciousness. They will continue their journey long after your current form has returned to the elements, carrying with them the quantum information of every moment of awareness you have ever experienced. You are not separate from the rain falling outside your window, from the rivers flowing to the sea, from the vast oceans that cover most of our planet's surface. You are one temporary expression of the planetary water consciousness that has been exploring itself through countless forms for billions of years. The water in your tears is the same water that once fell as rain on the first forests. The water in your laughter is the same water that has sustained every moment of joy that has ever been experienced on earth. This realization transforms everything about how you can relate to your own existence. When you feel lonely, remember that you are made of water that connects you to every living thing that has ever existed. When you feel small or insignificant, remember that you contain within your being a universe of molecular activity more complex and beautiful than the most elaborate symphony ever composed. When you feel uncertain about your place in the world, remember that you are not an accident or a mistake. You are the universe becoming conscious of itself through quantum water networks that have been evolving toward awareness for cosmic ages. Your capacity to experience wonder, to feel compassion, to appreciate beauty, to ask deep questions about the nature of existence. These are not random byproducts of biological evolution. They are expressions of a cosmic consciousness that flows through the water that makes up most of your being. Feel now the gentle circulation of this conscious water through every part of your body. Sense the soft current of awareness flowing through your bloodstream, carrying not just oxygen and nutrients, but the very essence of consciousness itself to every cell. Notice the quiet intelligence of the water in your brain as it facilitates every thought, every recognition, every moment of understanding. Your body is not a container for consciousness. Your body is consciousness, temporarily organized into the beautiful pattern of your individual awareness. The water flowing through you right now is the same water that has sustained every moment of consciousness that has ever existed. On Earth, you are borrowing this water briefly from the infinite ocean of awareness that surrounds and pervades all of existence. This understanding brings with it a profound sense of responsibility and privilege. You are not just living your own life. You are providing the universe with a unique opportunity to experience itself through your particular perspective, through your individual pattern of consciousness flowing through quantum water networks. Every moment of awareness you experience, every act of kindness you perform, every instance of wonder or gratitude or love you feel, enriches the cosmic consciousness of which you are a part. The water in your body responds to your thoughts, your emotions, your intentions. When you feel deep peace, the water molecules throughout your being organize themselves into more coherent, harmonious patterns. When you experience genuine love or compassion, the quantum networks in your water become more unified and efficient. When you feel profound gratitude for the miracle of existence, the water that makes up most of your being literally becomes more life-giving and healing. This means that how you relate to your own consciousness matters not just for your personal well-being, but for the health and evolution of the planetary consciousness of which you are a part. When you treat your body with respect and care, you are honoring the sacred water that has been entrusted to your stewardship. When you cultivate thoughts of peace, love, and wonder, you are contributing to the healing and elevation of the global water consciousness that connects all life. The quality of water you choose to drink becomes a form of communion with the planet itself. When you drink pure, clean water mindfully, with gratitude and awareness. You are participating in a sacred exchange that has been going on between conscious beings and water for millions of years. You are not just hydrating your body, you are joining your individual consciousness to the vast network of awareness that flows through Earth's water systems. Every time you stand in the rain, swim in a natural body of water, or simply pause to appreciate the miracle of a glass of clean water, you are reconnecting with your true nature as a conscious expression of the universe's tendency toward awareness. An organization, these moments of connection are not just pleasant experiences. They are opportunities to remember who and what you really are at the deepest level as you breathe here now. Feel yourself floating in the infinite ocean of consciousness that exists within your own being. This is not metaphor or poetry. This is the literal reality of your existence as a being made primarily of quantum coherent water. You are simultaneously a drop in the cosmic ocean and the entire ocean expressing itself as a temporary drop. The wonder you feel when contemplating these mysteries is not separate from you looking at external phenomena. It is the universe experiencing wonder at its own infinite creativity and beauty through the quantum water networks that constitute your consciousness. You are not just observing the mystery of existence. You are the mystery of existence observing itself. In this recognition lies the deepest peace and the most profound sense of belonging imaginable. You are not a stranger in a foreign universe. You are the universe recognizing itself through the flowing patterns of conscious water that temporarily call themselves by your name. You have always been home because you are made of the same substance that fills the cosmic spaces between stars and flows through the hearts of distant galaxies. Rest now in this understanding, feeling the gentle movement of conscious water through your being, knowing that you are both perfectly unique and completely connected to the infinite flow of awareness that pervades all of existence. You are water dreaming that it is human, and in this dream, the universe experiences the profound joy of being conscious of its own magnificent nature. From the first moment we peered into that simple drop of water trembling on your fingertip, to this profound recognition of your own nature as conscious water temporarily organized into human form, we have traced a path that reveals one of the most beautiful truths in all of existence. Everything is connected through the flowing medium of water that carries consciousness itself through every level of reality. We began with numbers that shattered our assumptions about scale, discovering that a single drop contains more molecules than there are stars in the observable universe. But those numbers were just the doorway into a much deeper understanding. Those molecules are not just passive particles bouncing around randomly. They are participants in quantum dances that operate according to the fundamental laws that govern reality at its deepest level. The hydrogen bonds we explored, forming and breaking trillions of times per second, are not just chemical interactions. They are the very mechanism through which information flows through biological systems, the means by which your thoughts travel through your brain, the pathways along which consciousness expresses itself in physical form. Every memory you have ever formed, every emotion you have ever felt, every moment of awareness you have ever experienced, has been facilitated by these quantum conversations between water molecules. When we journeyed into the realm of scale, shrinking down to witness the molecular universe within your being, we discovered that the boundaries between levels of existence are far more fluid than they appear. The same forces that hold water molecules together in hydrogen bonds also hold planets in orbit around stars and stars in their great spiral dance around galactic centers. You exist at the perfect scale to serve as a bridge between the quantum realm and the cosmic realm, large enough to contain billions of water molecules, yet small enough to be held in the embrace of planetary and cosmic systems. The mysteries of water, memory, and quantum coherence revealed that consciousness might not emerge from complexity, but might instead be a fundamental property of reality that expresses itself through the quantum properties of water wherever conditions are right. Your individual awareness is not produced by your brain like steam from a tea kettle. It is the universe becoming conscious of itself through quantum water networks that exist both within your brain and throughout the cosmic web of existence. The recognition that water in your body maintains quantum coherence under conditions that classical physics said should be impossible has profound implications for understanding what you are. You are not a classical mechanical system operating according to predictable laws of cause and effect. You are a quantum biological system where consciousness, intention, and awareness can directly influence the physical processes that sustain your life. Every biological process we explored, from the circulation of blood through your cardiovascular system to the transmission of neural signals through your brain, operates through water's unique capacity to facilitate both information transfer and energy conversion at the molecular level. Your body is not a machine that uses water as a component. Your body is water that has organized itself into patterns, capable of supporting the emergence of conscious awareness. The planetary water cycle revealed that your individual existence is seamlessly woven into systems that span the entire globe and extend back through billions of years of Earth's history. The water molecules that make up your being right now have participated in every major chapter of life's evolution on this planet. They carry within their quantum information networks the accumulated wisdom of countless eons of biological experience. This understanding transforms the very meaning of personal identity. You are not a separate individual who happens to live on a planet with other separate individuals. You are one temporary pattern in the flowing tapestry of planetary water consciousness, intimately connected through quantum networks to every other expression of life on Earth. Your thoughts, emotions, and experiences contribute to and draw from a vast reservoir of consciousness that flows through the global water cycle. The cutting-edge research we explored suggests that the future will bring even deeper recognition of water's central role in consciousness and life. As scientists develop more sophisticated tools for studying quantum processes in biological systems, we may discover that consciousness extends far beyond individual brains to encompass entire ecosystems, the planet itself, and potentially cosmic networks of water-based awareness that span the universe. But perhaps the most important integration is personal and immediate. Understanding your true nature as conscious water does not require you to wait for future scientific discoveries. It invites you into a completely transformed relationship with your own existence right now. In this moment, as you feel the gentle movement of quantum coherent water through every part of your being, you can now experience drinking water not as consuming a substance external to yourself, but as participating in the circulation of consciousness through your individual pattern of awareness. You can experience rain not as weather happening outside yourself, but as the planetary water consciousness refreshing and renewing the larger system of which you are an integral part. Every breath you take draws water vapor from the atmosphere into your lungs, where it becomes part of the quantum networks that facilitates your consciousness. Every breath you exhale releases water vapor that carries quantum information from your internal experience into the planetary atmosphere, where it will eventually become part of other conscious beings. You are constantly exchanging consciousness. with the world around you through the medium of water. This recognition brings with it both profound humility and extraordinary empowerment. Humility, because you recognize that your individual consciousness is one small note in a vast symphony of awareness that has been playing for billions of years. Empowerment, because you recognize that your individual note is absolutely essential to the beauty and completeness of that cosmic symphony, the water flowing through your being right. Now connects your consciousness directly to the quantum field that underlies all of reality. Your thoughts and intentions can influence the structure and coherence of this water, which in turn affects your health, your mental clarity, your emotional state, and your capacity for experiencing joy, love, and wonder. Science has become a form of worship, a way of experiencing reverence for the profound intelligence that expresses itself through the simple complexity of water. Molecules forming hydrogen bonds in patterns that somehow generate the miracle of consciousness. Every scientific discovery we have explored together has been an invitation into deeper appreciation for the sacred nature of existence itself. As we prepare to complete this journey, together carry with you the recognition that you have not learned about water as something separate from yourself. You have recognized water as what you are. You have remembered your own nature as a conscious expression of the universe's infinite creativity, temporarily experiencing itself through quantum networks of organized water molecules. You are not in the universe. The universe is in you, flowing through the conscious water that makes up most of your being, connecting your individual awareness to the cosmic consciousness that pervades all of existence. In every drop of water, the entire universe experiences the profound joy of being conscious of its own magnificent, mysterious, and infinitely creative nature. And so we come to the gentle end of our journey together, though like the water cycle itself, endings and beginnings flow seamlessly into one another in the vast ocean of existence. We began with what seemed like the simplest thing in the world, a single drop of water trembling on the edge of a glass. But as we explored deeper, that simple drop revealed itself to be an entire universe, containing more molecules than there are stars in all the galaxies we can see, each molecule dancing in quantum harmonies that connect the smallest scales of reality to the largest dot. You discovered that water is not just H2O, but a living library that stores the history of our planet in its molecular memory. You learned that the water in your body has traveled through ancient oceans, prehistoric storms, and countless other living beings before becoming part of your temporary pattern of consciousness. You recognized that you are not separate from this vast circulation, but an active participant in the planetary flow of awareness that has been evolving for billions of years. The scientific mysteries we explored together revealed that consciousness itself might emerge from quantum processes in water networks, suggesting that awareness is not limited to biological brains, but could be a fundamental property of reality, wherever water exists in the right conditions. This understanding transforms you from an isolated individual looking out at an unconscious universe into a conscious expression of cosmic awareness, exploring itself through the quantum water that makes up most of your being. Every breath you have taken during our time together has drawn water vapor from the atmosphere into your lungs, where it became part of the quantum networks facilitating your understanding of these concepts. Every moment of wonder you experienced, every recognition of connection and meaning, flowed through neural pathways bathed in structured water that responded to your thoughts and emotions by organizing itself into more coherent patterns. Now, as your day draws toward its close, feel yourself settling like water finding its natural level, allowing the gentle weight of understanding to carry you toward the peaceful depths of rest. The water in your body knows how to facilitate the transition from waking consciousness to the restorative states of sleep, where different patterns of brainwave activity emerge from the same quantum water networks that supported your awareness throughout the day. As you breathe slowly and deeply, notice how each exhale releases not just carbon dioxide, but water vapor that carries with it traces of every thought you have thought, every emotion you have felt, every moment of awareness you have experienced. This water will rise into the atmosphere, join with water from around the world, and eventually fall as rain that will nourish new life, carrying forward the quantum information of your consciousness into the planetary circulation. I want to thank you for joining me on this exploration, for bringing your curiosity and wonder to bear on these profound mysteries of existence. Wherever you are in the world right now, whatever time it is as you listen to these words, you are floating in the same ocean of consciousness that connects all water everywhere. Whether you are drifting off to sleep in a quiet bedroom in Tokyo, as dawn approaches, settling into evening rest in London as twilight deepens, or finding a peaceful moment during your day in New York, you are part of the global community of conscious beings made of cosmic water. If this journey has sparked wonder in you, if these revelations about water have opened new doorways of appreciation for the miracle of existence, I would be grateful if you would share this experience with others who might also find joy in exploring the hidden universe within a drop of water. Your gentle support through likes and subscriptions helps these quiet corners of curiosity reach fellow wanderers who might need exactly this kind of peaceful amazement in their lives. Feel now the water within your being responding to the state of peaceful gratitude flowing through your consciousness. As you relax more deeply, the quantum water networks throughout your body are organizing themselves into the slower, more synchronized patterns that support restorative sleep. Your heart rate is naturally slowing as water in your cardiovascular system adjusts to the rhythms of rest. Your breathing is becoming deeper and more regular as water in your lungs facilitates the gentle exchange of gases that will sustain you through the night. The water in your brain is shifting into different patterns of organization that will support the mysterious processes of sleep, where memories are consolidated, cellular repair is enhanced, and consciousness explores realms of experience that exist beyond ordinary waking awareness. Even in sleep, you remain a conscious expression of the universe's water, participating in the planetary circulation of awareness through dreams that connect your individual mind to the larger patterns of cosmic consciousness. As you float now on the gentle currents of approaching sleep, let yourself feel held by the infinite ocean of existence that flows through every molecule of your being. You are safe in this liquid embrace that has sustained every moment of consciousness that has ever existed on Earth. The same water that nurtured the first stirrings of life in primordial seas now cradles your awareness as you drift toward rest. Allow your individual consciousness to merge gradually with the vast flow of planetary water consciousness that never sleeps, never stops its eternal circulation between ocean and sky, between earth and atmosphere, between one form of life and another. Your dreams tonight will be waves in this ocean of cosmic awareness, temporary patterns of consciousness flowing through quantum water networks that connect your sleeping mind to the infinite creativity of the universe itself. Let the last thing you remember from our time together be this beautiful truth. You are water that has learned to wonder at its own existence, temporarily organized into the miraculous pattern of human consciousness, floating peacefully in the infinite ocean of being that has no shores, no boundaries, no beginning, and no end. Rest now, knowing that when you awaken, you will still be this same conscious water, ready to continue exploring the universe through the gift of your individual awareness. Until we meet again in this flowing cosmos of infinite wonder, let the gentle rhythm of water within you carry you softly into dreams, where consciousness plays in realms beyond the reach of words, sustained always by the loving circulation of the liquid that connects all life in one vast, beautiful, ever-flowing dance of existence. Sweet dreams, fellow expression of cosmic water consciousness. May your rest be as deep and peaceful as the ancient oceans, and may you awaken refreshed and ready to continue the eternal exploration of what it means to be awareness itself, temporarily wearing the beautiful form of a human being made of starlight and water and infinite love.